it. There we go. Okay, hey guys, everybody, we're welcome back. I'm Karen Hyde. If you're watching this from John's Facebook, I'm so glad you're here. Like, this conversation is part of something much bigger than just a Facebook Live. If you have seen, yesterday we just got started with our spotlights, and something I love to do as we're getting prepared to our event is to hear from the speakers, get to know them a little bit more, and that's part of the mission that we have behind Scale with Stability. Just for you guys to know, if you haven't heard what Scale with Stability is, it's a movement and event built for business owners who want to grow, but grow the right way. Not at the expense of their family, not at the expense of their faith, and definitely not at the expense of their health or peace. Because the truth is, a lot of entrepreneurs know how to scale revenue. That's one of the things that's why you're in business, right? But a lot of them didn't know how to scale a business without burning out. And that's why Scale with Stability exists. It's what we do, and what we're coming together with amazing people like John Henao to make this happen. Now, today I want to spotlight one of our incredible speakers coming to Arkansas. Your topic, John, I think it just hits one of the biggest ceilings business owners face, which is delegation and building the right team. So many entrepreneurs, in my opinion, just like talking to so many over the years, really feel stuck because they're doing everything, or they feel like they're doing everything. They're wearing every hat. And even though the business might be growing, they're breaking under the weight of it. And I think this is why this topic is so relevant today. I am really excited to not only introduce you here for everybody that's watching this live, and let us know if you're watching this, but also to bring you to Scale with Stability, because I feel it's one of those things that it's so needed. Now, before I have so many questions for you, John, because I want everybody to get to know you better. I want them to see why your track might be the one thing that they really need to get out of this business, out of this event. But let me introduce you real quick. John is an entrepreneur and founder of Go Staffy, where he helps marketing agencies scale building high-performing teams with top-tier Colombian talent, which I'm really excited. I am Nicaraguan, so like the Latin blood is here. I'm really, really pumped for what you're going to share. Now, John, how are you first and foremost? How are you doing today?
Oh, I'm doing great. And I'm super excited to be part of this panel. I know JC and you guys are doing great things at Scale with Stability. I was there last year as an attendee, and I fell in love with the whole concept, with like integrating faith as well with your agency and just everything. So I'm super excited to be a speaker this year and just want to give a lot of value.
I know, I'm so excited. It was so great to have you and your daughter there last year, and the fact that you're coming back this year to share, I think it's going to be great. I have so many questions on what you do and how you help business owners. Let's start with the first one. What was the moment where you realized that you couldn't scale your business unless you learn how to delegate? Let's just go straight to it.
So it goes back like literally 9 years ago, where I had like a health crisis. Like literally, I only had like 1 or 2 employees at the time. And I was hit with an environmental illness, literally that just knocked me down, right? This was back in 2016 or so. It's been a while. And those were my, the beginning stages of my agency. And literally we had about 7 or 8 clients. But then when I got hit with that environmental illness, I ended up with just 1 client because I was sick for literally almost 8 or 9 months, because I didn't know that my body was reacting to this mold illness and whatnot. So I realized from that, that I needed to have a team, a really good team, and know how to delegate, because I was burned out right at the time. Of course, I had this health crisis. And I realized more than ever that if you have the right team in place and you have the right systems in place, you could be sick or go through, different seasons in your life, and your business is going to take care of you as well, because your team is there for you. So that was one of the biggest awakening that I had, that after I got better, thank God, right? It took almost 9 months. I started appreciating more the fact that when you're in business, you need to make sure that it's for the sole purpose of having the freedom, to go to the vacation in case something happens, a crisis, where you're able to trust the business is going to operate without you.
Yeah. Wow, it's sad to say that most of us learn through this awful experiences sometime, but I think the beauty of this experiences that are so challenging is the fact that we're able to come out with this like lessons that then, in your case, like became your business. Now you're helping people overcome, and create that freedom for them, which is I think it's really cool to see that transformation. Why do you think that a lot of business owners struggle or have this delegation as part of their biggest bottlenecks in their business that's stopping them from growing, really? But why do you think like that happens? That's so common.
So there's a few things. Like I know a lot of business owners, they have an ego, right? I think we all have an ego where we want to save the day. We want to go in there and be the person that is doing everything, right? And I get it, right? Because the business owner starts like either they're good at one thing, like let's say building websites. They start as an SEO person and they're good at their craft. But then once the business starts scaling, that becomes hard for them to just let go, right? Because they feel that their identity is on, hey, I'm a really good SEO person or a really good web designer. So I think a lot of things that prevent them is that prevent them from letting go could be their ego, could be like, hey, no one can do it as good as me, right? I'm the best SEO person. I am the best at doing this. And I've learned that if they learn how to delegate early on, right, it's going to free the agency owner so the agency owner can focus on the most important things, right? It's building relationships, going to trade shows, meeting new people, and really having the vision of where you want to take this company. And I think that it becomes a trap. And it's not hard. Sometimes it's hard, right, to let go. But that's my biggest take. I would say is that they're afraid that they're not going to do it as good as them. And I think ego plays a big part of it as well.
In business, I think we've learned, especially in marketing, when we're giving these presentations, we always give our audience like there's two paths here. You're either taking the solution and this is going to happen, or you don't take the solution and this is going to happen, right? What do you think? What is the actual cost that a business owner, goes into? Like, what does it cost them? Holding on to everything, holding on to the ego, holding on to the control, thinking that they're the only ones that can accomplish, whatever they're fulfilling or doing. What do you feel is the cost? And I'm sure you get to experience a lot of that before they come to you, right, for help.
Totally. I would say a few things are it's costing them, of course, their time, their money. It's costing them sometimes their health, right? Because they're working, I don't know, 50 hours a day, or more, 60 hours a week, sorry. So it's costing them a lot, right? And I think that speed of implementation is the most important thing. Like one of my mentors said, like successful people are successful because they implement things quicker, right? They get on the ball and they speed of implementation. And I think that if you're doing it all as an agency owner, you're not going to have that speed of implementation. It's going to take longer for you to scale. And there's a price for that, right? So I think that the biggest thing is, it's costing them their time, their money, their health. I would say those are the three biggest things.
Yeah. I feel like a lot of people that I've talked to that are struggling to make the decision of finding the people, there's this like cost, also financial, that they're thinking like, oh, it's going to cost me more, instead of like seeing the bigger gains that they're going to get by doing that. But if somebody feels like they cannot afford to hire somebody, what would you say to them? Or what do you normally tell people that are like struggling with like making the financial sense, to get somebody in?
Like I would have a goal in mind, like say, okay, once I hit this marker, I'm going to hire my first part-time person. Like start part-time. Like you can crawl first before walking and jogging, right? So have a goal and say, okay, when I hit my, I don't know, first 10K, monthly recurring, or first, 20K, this is what I want, right? And I think having a clear, like, clear goals on where you want to go is super important. Mm-hmm. If you really put your heart into it and you really have the right desire, that the goal here is so that you can have some freedom, you will make it happen, right? And just have that clear expectations and start part-time, delegating. Even if you have to start with a freelancer, mm-hmm. And then once you're building that momentum, hire a part-time person. Once you hire that part-time person, that part-time person can become the full-time person, right? And then we can even speak about different roles, the roles that I recommend that the agency owner
Yeah.
should hire first. But that's my take on that. Just, set a goal and make sure that you make it happen. Because if not, you're going to fall into that trap that you can't do it.
I agree. What do you think, as we, today we have over 60 teammates, I believe, in just across the businesses, and hiring people can be challenging. So I'm not trying to I think we both know that it can be challenging, but there are ways of doing that, in a way that it's helpful to you, to your business, that you can avoid a lot of the pain that you would go through normally if you just decide one day you just want to hire, whatever. What do you feel like, in your experience as you've supported people going through this path, what do most business owners get wrong about hiring, especially those first key roles in their business?
I would say that they don't have the clarity. I think what happens is a lot of agency owners, they hire really fast, right? Like they hire because there's a fire that just pulled out. Like the analogy of the fireman, right there. Your house is on fire. You call the firemen, and they pull down. So I think most agency owners are hiring because of desperateness, fire, and they're not prepared and they don't have the right clarity. So I mean, I speak about that. There's this three-step three-step delegation process that we go through, which we talk about clarity first, then systems, then people, right? And I think that most agencies have it flipped around. Like they hire the first that first hire, and then they do the system, and then the clarity comes into the mix. So I think having clarity on what the role is going to be, having clarity on, hey, when I hire this person, this is what I expect for that person to do, right? Having a clear SOPs, having everything. So I think one of my favorite hires to start would be hiring an EA, right? That can take care of all the mundane stuff that the agency owner is doing, the emails, the calendar, responding on behalf of yourself on your email. And that's going to clear yourself up so that you can focus on bigger tasks.
I can imagine a lot of people are going to have so many questions about hiring an executive assistant, because it can be challenging. There's, like you're mentioning, there's a sense of ego, but also of privacy. And some people are no, I need to read my emails, all of them. How much time is being wasted in that? You actually wrote recently a book, I think this last year, JC, we went to your booth at Level Up, which was super fun. And you were handing out some of those books, which is really cool. We have our own copy. In there, you talk about this 15 to 20 hour breakthrough, right? That you're helping, that you have seen business owners gain from hiring the right executive assistant. What do you feel first off, I would love to understand, why do you think this role has been so powerful? Let's go into more, why do you think it's such a key role for business owners, and should everybody have an executive assistant? Do you see any places where you're you're not ready for that yet, or when do somebody is ready for that?
Yeah, so I would start I recommend that everyone should have an EA once they hit that 20K mark or higher. Because in the beginning, you're in that survival mode and you're getting things rolling. But I think that once they hit that 20K, monthly recurring per month, they should be hiring, that EA that's going to save their time. That's going to really save their time from all the things that the agency owner is doing, right? The agency owner spends time, even on the things that you don't think are spending your time. For example, I don't like planning for vacation, on my personal. I mean, I love going to vacation, love traveling, but literally, I'll spend 3 hours choosing what hotel, and I'm I can't take this anymore. So I give it to my wife, and then she's my EA. My wife becomes the EA at that moment. So, planning takes a lot of time, even when you're planning events, right? I mean, there's a lot. I mean, you guys plan events. I'm sure it takes a lot of time, right? Would you agree with that?
Yes.
Oh
man, people don't know.
So I think that this role is so critical because it's going to allow you to free up the things that you shouldn't be doing. Like I said, checking your email, checking your inbox, doing contracts. Maybe there's some agency owners that still do a contract after they close a sales deal, right? Usually my EA goes to all my sales calls. She grabs the information and she sends them right away to the contract, the everything. So taking care of your inbox, your calendar, responding in behalf of yourself, right, on your messenger. She can do so many things. Like, you have to do an audit of yourself. I would say, for those of you that probably saying, well, I'm at 20K a month, right?
Yeah.
But I don't see, like, what can I delegate to this person? Well, do an audit of yourself. Like, take literally a whole week,
Mm.
grab a Google Doc, and literally document every 20 minutes of what you're doing, what activities you're doing. And you're going to see that you're probably doing a lot of things that you should not be doing. And then that audit is going to give you more clarity on why I do need an EA and why I should hire an EA.
I love that exercise. Like, I actually think that that exercise is something we should do every so often, because it's crazy how things that, oh, we know that we need to delegate, we know that we need to hand off, somehow we continue to like have them on our, like on our plate, or we like are actively seeking for those activities. Kind of like the business owner that loves to tinker, with things instead of like going to sell. Like, stop tinkering with the product, like go and sell. It's very similar to
The
that.
other thing I
uh-huh.
recommend too, sorry to interrupt. Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
The other thing I also recommend, besides auditing yourself, is do a brain dump like every 1 month. Like, do a brain dump every month, because you hire that EA, things change throughout. Like, every month, there's always different things that are happening, or maybe things you want to improve in your agency. Do a brain dump on everything that's in your brain. The things that you're doing, the things that you want to do, like everything, and give that to your EA. And you'll be surprised on the things that she can help you remove and say, oh, you know what? I have experience in this. I can do this for you. Hey, you know what? I will let this team member know about this. And it just brings so much clarity when you take things out of your head, right? Because your EA is not a mind reader. You need to take things out of your head, and then she will create the systems for you.
Oh man, we could talk about this topic for hours, which I'm excited that you're actually going to have a whole track to go through with this topic, and helping business owners really take advantage of these key roles that could make their lives so much easier. I know that for us, having a team, it has been one of the, and we went through some like very crazy things in our own journey of entrepreneurship. And I think without a team, I don't know how we would have survived. So like this is the power of that. Thinking about the audience that's coming, the people that are going to be joining us at Skill with Stability in April. By the way, April 24th to 26th, guys, it's happening in Searcy, Arkansas. Last year was the first year, and we had so much fun doing it that we thought, hey, let's go ahead and JC's like crazy. Let's make it bigger this year. Just let's go for it.
I am super pumped. And for those of you that are hearing this, you got to be there. You got to go to Skill with Stability. It's a very unique event, and the people that are attending, the speakers are amazing. So highly recommend it. I just want to share it. A little plug for you, but totally recommend it if you're listening this, to this podcast or to this episode.
Thank you. We paid John to say that. Thank you. No, we really have so much fun. I mean, obviously we enjoy it. Otherwise we wouldn't do it. But I'm thinking about everybody that's coming. Last year we got a very unique, I think, culture and kind of like people there, right? Just like business owners that believe that they can accomplish all these crazy things, but also, want to be present. Like I was mentioning in the intro, like want to be present parents. They want to be there for their teams. They want to be there for themselves, have health, and I'm curious to you, like specifically on the topic of faith, because we are very focused on faith-driven business owners. How does you feel like your faith shapes the way that you're leading and building these teams and helping even other business owners? Like, how does faith come in the picture when you're building a team?
Yeah, totally. I mean, that my faith grounds me, my faith in God. And that's like, I feel that if I'm not showing up every day as a leader, my team is going to notice, right? And we all have bad days, right? Things are happening everywhere, right? Whether in the business, in your business or in your personal life, things are happening. So I think having faith in God, I love Jesus, and I want to put him first in everything that I do. So I think that your quiet time is important. Like, I think for me that's super paramount. There's days that maybe I forget, right? Like everyone, but then you go back and you say, no, wait, I'm acting like this because I forgot to pray or I forgot. So I think really integrating it. We also try to integrate it somewhat in our agency. Like we do learning meetings every single Friday, and we talk about every subject you can think about: self-development, Facebook ads, AI, everything. And sometimes we kind of sprinkle God's love, like God's principles in those meetings, and we've seen how that's transforms even people, like even like team members that are not really close to God. They're seeing a difference with how we speak to them. So I think faith is huge, right? It teaches you patience, teaches us that there's always an answer if you're really like are open to seeking the divine, right? So totally agree with you with that.
Love it. Thank you for sharing that, John. I agree. It's very interesting as a business owner, knowing that obviously, our business, like we're gonna have clients and team members, and we're gonna navigate so many different just experiences with people that are like from different upbringing. And I think that's something that we have learned as well. How do we navigate our building this team with people that may not have the same belief system as we do, but remaining true to our values and through our actions, being an example towards others. I think at the end of the day, that's what we're supposed to do, right? Like that's what the Bible teaches us. So I thank you for that. You were saying something?
Yeah, I was gonna say that also. Like faith can also really allow you to have the right even core values, which I highly recommend. If you're an agency owner, you don't have core values, create them. Make them simple. And part of our core values is having integrity, right? And we even created like one Bible verse that signifies like who we are as an agency. So you can literally like integrate God, in the mix, without being pushy, right? And just being an example, right? Because like in the end of the day, like we want to make sure that we're impactful to our clients, to our team members, and I think having faith in the mix is amazing.
Amazing. Thank you so much. I'm really excited. I think the conversations that are going to spark from like this topic, this topic goes really deep, right? And just like some of the stuff that we are bringing from our past, that's not letting us like move forward, and just leading others is a big deal. Now, for anybody that's watching that is thinking, okay, like I am sold, I need to be in this conference. Not only that, but I also need to be in John's track. What is one takeaway that you feel that that you want for every business owner that's coming to your track to walk away from your session?
It would be clarity on what their next hire is going to be. I'm going to give away, my book. I'm going to give it away, and also, which is called the Freedom Agency. We want you to have clarity. We want you to have freedom. We want you to have purpose too, right? Because a lot of times we're running our agency, we're growing it, and sometimes we're just focused on the revenue, on the numbers. But in the end, what I want you to walk away with is that there's a reason why you created that business, right? It was for you to have freedom, for you to know who to hire so you can build a team. And then in the end, so you can have the freedom that you're looking for, right? I think in the end of the day, that's what we're looking for. And it could be like when you talk about freedom, it doesn't have to be necessarily like, oh, I got to travel every month, right? But maybe freedom to start a ministry. I don't know, freedom to spend more time with your family. Freedom for you is going to be different than what my freedom is, right? Whatever the freedom is, maybe you want to join like a runners club, right? On Thursday at 3 p.m., right? And you've never allowed because before you were working, so you didn't have the time to do that, right? So whatever freedom looks like, that's what we want. That's the key takeaway from what I want everyone to grab.
I love it. Well, guys, you heard it. I honestly want everybody to have this freedom too. So like, I'm super excited for this session. This is the reason why we're putting this conference together, why we're building this, what we feel is going to be really what it is, a movement, scaling with stability. And it's coming, I think from both of us. I think being in business for so long, we understand that being in business is hard. There are so many ups and downs that the only reason why you're able to continue to be on this entrepreneurship path is because you have this stability in your life that you can create. It's not easy. It doesn't just happen. You have to be intentional about it. but being in this room, being in the right room with people, being in this room, you know, with John, listening to others and how they've been able to accomplish that. I think that's one of my favorite ways to grow. We can either grow through our own painful experience, or we can grow through listening to others and learning from others. I'd rather do the second. Sometimes we have to do the first one, but it's part of that. So thank you, John, for joining me. I'm really excited to be with you in just a few, I don't know, I say a few, in 3 months. It's getting closer and closer. And as an event host, I'm like, oh my goodness, it's happening pretty soon. But really excited to see you all. And we'll be sharing more information about the event. If you haven't gotten your ticket, FYI, there's only 15 VIP tickets. I think, John, you were part of like the sessions and you got to experience some of the VIP as well. This year, we're having a 3-hour session with John. So he's going to do a keynote as well, but he's spending 3 hours with the VIPs. And we're going to have other surprises.
John Maxwell, right? John Maxwell?
John Maxwell. Yes, sorry. John Maxwell. Just right.
Yeah. People are saying with me, I mean, you could spend 3 hours with me. That would be amazing.
John was
but I think John Maxwell.
That we're gonna I didn't know we were spending 3 hours with you. Yes, John Maxwell. Forward to spending time together.